Very disappointed coming off of a tough loss at Tulane where I thought our offense, defense, and special teams battled. Unfortunately, we didn't get it done in any phase of the game for a complete game, which we knew that we were going to have to do. We knew that it was going to come down to the team that makes the fewest mistakes win. Offensively, very hurtful that we didn't win some of those one-on-one battles, but more hurtful that we had points taken off the board in offense and special teams. Defense, we went into the game with a mindset to stop the run. I thought we did a good job of stopping the run, holding them to around 3.2, 3.3 yards per carry, which was what we knew we had to do. Unfortunately, the one-on-one situations on defense, not only did we not get the slant stopped for a touchdown, we also didn't get it tackled at all. Those are the things that came back to us being unsuccessful in the game. We've talked about trying to make sure that when we're in those situations in games, I think it's more hurtful when you lose a game like we've lost 3 games by a touchdown or less in situations to where you take points off the board, you have penalties that hurt you, and the penalties that we had in the game on the field goal and on the reverse to sack it play of the game, I thought that the officiating was correct on both of them. We got to hold ourselves accountable. As far as that is concerned, if we would have got that done, the outcome of the game could have been a lot different. So we have to make sure that we hold ourselves accountable for the decisions and the mistakes that we made throughout this game. But all in all, I thought our defense bounced back. You take those 3 plays out of the game on slant plays where our defensive secondary has to go make that play, and if they don't make the play, at least get it tackled. What it's looking like offensively and defensively, we're 1 to 2 playmakers on offense or defense from being able to win these games and put these games away. I thought we started well in the game by deferring, getting a big-time stop on 4th down, and then the offense using that momentum. But that momentum was quickly stopped, like I said before, by what we had happened to us. Moving forward, we got a UConn football team that's hungry just like we are to get their first conference win. We're happy to be playing here in Greenville. The things that their offensive personnel that you saw being able to score 50 points, that doesn't happen when you don't have great offensive personnel. That's all led by quarterback number 5, Pendale, over 2,000 yards already in all-purpose yards for them. He presents quite a challenge for us on our defense. And then defensively, they're big in their defensive front. We need to be able to put together it doesn't matter how we put it together, whether it's quarterback, halfback, receiver. We're going to have to find a way to effectively run the football so that we don't have to do what we did to Holton in the game. I thought Holton's performance last week was much better than the numbers say. A lot of those incompletions that he had were incompletions where he didn't want to take a sack, or the man-to-man coverage was too tight, or guys weren't in the correct place where they needed to be. There were some great incompletions. A lot of people don't you never hear people talk about great incompletions. He's learning to be more and more sound as far as taking care of the ball. He had 1 major mistake there. This week is going to be a little different with the coverages that we see. We saw a lot of man last week. We could see man and zone this week. We got to get him prepared for it. Also a new front. They played some Grizzly last year. We played a Grizzly front this past week. This week looks like we're going to see more 4 down, so we got a lot to get done between now and Saturday to give us a chance to be victorious against the UConn Huskies.
How impressive has Holton's growth been? It seems a little head-scratching that he wasn't allowed to throw the ball the first couple of weeks of the season. Now he's throwing nearly 70 times a game, over 350-yard average. So how impressive has his growth been since being in the starter?
He's been able to throw the football ever since the beginning. If you go back to the first part when I said it's been about protecting himself. If he continues to protect himself, he'll continue to grow better and better. But in practice, we can't allow him to get hit, of course, in practice, but we can't also allow him to get hit in some of these situations in the game. Our problems in our offensive front also have a lot to do with, him taking care of the ball, throwing it away. That's the biggest growth. You see those incompletions and people think, well, maybe he took a step back. He actually took a step forward in taking care of his body and taking care of the ball. So he's grown so much, and he's grown in situations where he hasn't had the starting group in front of him. It'd be a lot different right now if he was looking at his starting center, or not even his starting center, but his backup center, getting all the way down to his 3rd center, and then his starting guard, not even his starting or backup guard at times, his 3rd guard being played in there. So he's doing a lot. He's grown a lot. Impressed by him. Looking forward to seeing him continue to grow throughout the year.
Coach, it just seems like the receiver position may be a little off last few weeks outside of Trayvon, and you got Tyler stepping up. I guess, how would you kind of assess the development of some of the younger scholarship guys there?
Yeah, the two that I'll start with is Blake Prohl and Leroy Henley. I think they have continued to have to grow. One thing that we've noticed about Leroy and Blake, the fatigue factor is starting to work in a little bit on them. Guys coming off of ACL injuries. It's been a long season and a long grind, and they're working they're working really hard to get better. The one thing that we missed in this game is just the solid play by DeAndre Ferrier, who had surgery on his meniscus on Thursday, which we thought that he was going to be able to play through it on Monday and on Tuesday, and then we found out that we were going to have surgery for him on Thursday, so we missed that. But Tyler Snead getting injected into it has definitely helped us. Mydrian Vines is a guy that we want to see more out of. Hopefully we'll see more out of him this week. We're going to have to get guys located in one position and let them go play. One of the things that happens when guys in the older group start to get hurt, now you have guys that have practiced and played in different positions having to go learn other positions and the details of those positions. I think that Tyler Snead has benefited from being at one position, understanding that position, learning and going. But the two guys that we're going to continue to try to work and get better work out of is Leroy Henley and Blake Prohl. We've got to get their bodies back to where they were at the beginning of the year. There is wear and tear, but there's things that we can do throughout the week to make sure that they get better.
Scott, in the absence of a full-time AD, I'm just curious, has anyone from ECU leadership reached out to you at all to discuss give you a vote of confidence or give you any guidance as far as where the program's headed?
Yeah, so there's been conversations between several people that I won't talk about, publicly, but we are in the absence of an AD, so there hasn't been, outside of the people that we're working with on a day-to-day basis, that's not something that we've talked about, but do I have conversations with people? I have conversations with people. We're just trying to do, most of my time, 99.9% of my time is trying to make sure that we can put the best players on the football field, keep our kids healthy, and give our offense and defense and special teams the best chance to win.
It looked like you were a play or two away from winning that ball game on Saturday. What did you talk to your team about after the game? And they played pretty good at times.
Making sure the Pirates don't beat Pirates. We can't say that we're a play away or one play away or two plays away. Almost that doesn't really get it done. I'm more concerned with the plays that we made that came off the board. The long, field goal by Jake Verity, points coming off the board. The reverse that we had, of course, scripted at that point of the game, and points come off the board. It's not about the one or two plays. It's about the discipline in games, the penalties in games, the ones that weren't touchdowns that were penalties. So we've got to continue to stress that and go as hard as we can on making sure that guys understand that, one play at a time and not after the game. What about these plays, one play or two play? We've got to make sure that our discipline stands up throughout the game.
You anticipate getting John Young back for this week, and how do you think Jake handled that Saturday?
I thought Jake stepped up in a major way in the game. Didn't know he was going to punt. John goes down with the ankle injury. We feel pretty good about getting him back. He won't kick. He won't kick tomorrow. We'll try to get him back into kicking on Wednesday, and hopefully he'll feel better. But thank goodness Jake was ready to go. There's a lot of things about punting that's different, that mentally is different. We had to get the ball out in a certain amount of time. And then he also has to have his mind, sharp to be able to go back in and hit big-time field goals and extra points. I started the team meeting yesterday with telling him how much I respected his ability to go in and do a job when we needed to get him a job. There's a really, really critical punt in there that gave us an opportunity to have a great chance to win the game.
Coach, how frustrating is the lack of running game? I mean, you hinted at it earlier, but I know you guys put a lot of time into that, and also the offensive lineman going down. I mean, how just frustrating has that whole process been?
Probably the biggest part of it is frustrating is that we had found the five that we really like together and working together, and throughout the offseason building to that. And it was hurtful when we lost one of them. When we lost two of them right beside each other, it was really tough for our offense. Now we're going to have to adjust this week. We still got to have the ability to run the football, so we'll make some adjustments that'll probably benefit our offensive line a lot more than we have in the last couple of weeks. We can't just keep saying that we don't have this guy or that guy. Eventually, you got to do something that's completely different to give us a better chance to run the football. But the hardest part is we found like we got the five across the board that we really liked at that time with, Deontay beside Cortez, beside John, beside Pena, beside Garrett McGinn. And it really came together at that point of the year. And then as soon as, we felt like we started to gel in the run game, we get an injury. So it's frustrating, but it's a part of the game. Next man up. We really got to have that kind of a mentality. No excuses, no explanations for it. We got to be better in the run game. We can't stress this young quarterback the way that we've stressed him. I like the way he's taking care of the football. I like the way he's running the ball. We always have to add the extra number with the running back. And we got to give our running backs the ability to create some different types of runs for them, and that's what we're doing. But unfortunately, when you are struggling at some of those positions on the interior, you can't have a game where you're starting with a TFL, second and 13, where in the passing game, as long as the quarterback can take care of the ball, the very minimum you're going to come out with is second and 10. So those are some of the things that go into it, but frustrating is a good word. The other part to the run game is, the injuries that we've had at tight end. Bogle going down, Watley with the hand surgery that we're trying to work back in this week. Hopefully we'll see him. He practiced and started to move around and started to run last night. Hopefully he'll be practicing tomorrow. When you have an absence of those two tight ends at different times and the offensive line, you have to put too much stress on the quarterback. If we could just, take some of the stress off of this quarterback, our defense can come on and stop a couple of those big plays. We got a good chance to finish well.
Knowing what you know about Bolton now, whatever, would you have started him at game 1?
No, just because he wasn't ready to get protected. The one thing that I'll say about Holton is that he grew a tremendous amount coming out of training camp when everybody else in that situation could have been put in that third role at that point in time just because of a lack of understanding. Also, our defense put a lot of pressure on Holton from the way that we play our ends. So it stressed him in his protection and understanding how backers fit off of the protection, and he just wasn't, even early in the game, he just wasn't ready. And now we've been very lucky a couple of times that some of the hits he's taken, you still would like for him to still be learning a little bit some of these shots that he's taken. And they're not just about him understanding protection, but it's also what's in front of him. There have been a couple of, if you look around even in our state, a couple of guys in our state have started quarterbacks early, and they've taken some hits that you like to have them get back. I can't put a guy out there that really wasn't ready to protect himself in that situation. But talent-wise, he has it all. If there's a situation where we could have him download the whole playbook and know everything in that playbook as soon as he went out there talent-wise, I've been said it. I think this kid is special. There's a lot of things that we did to bring a little bit of the playbook to him, which has made it easier for him, which we're really, really excited about where he's going in the direction. But he's still got to continue to protect himself. He's still taking 1 or 2 shots a game that if we get hit by the right person in that game, we'll lose him. So he wasn't ready. Wish he was ready, but he just wasn't ready at the time to protect himself.
Who would be your backup quarterback at that point if Holton did have to take a shot that was too hard to come in this week?
Right now?
Yeah.
Reed is back.
Okay.
Yeah, Reed Herring was back last week. He was getting warm on the sideline because Holton did take a shot that was, it was one of those shots that you kind of hold your breath on this past week. But Reed is back and ready to go. He's back healthy, thank goodness, after the accident. He had to move through a lot, physically, and we were able to bring him through it.
Scotty, with the postseason out of the question, what's the biggest challenge or hurdle for you as a head coach preparing your players for the last few weeks of the season?
No, it's always motivation, but it would have been motivation in my first year. I think that would have been it. Now the locker room is totally different. Like it's just a different. Everything is different in that locker room. The one thing that I got to do is I got to make sure that I'm making the biggest investment for our football team and our players throughout the time here. Just time spent with each one of these guys. But the locker room is completely different. It would have been motivating these guys, but we practiced on Sunday, the day after a huge game for us, and we didn't come out victorious, and we practiced extremely well. So those are the things that we had to come across. Those are program issues that we've been able to come across that hurdle and the direction that we're going in. So it's not as much as it was before. But we just got to continue to keep our guys healthy, I think would be the biggest hurdle at this point in time. Thank you, guys.